Okay, so before this video goes any further, this is allowing me to go on a little bit of a tangent here. All right. First off, I'd like to stress that I am not a Batman fan. I'm not one of these Batman marks that just jumped on the bandwagon because he's a part of the fad right now, because it's popular to like Batman. All right. Contrary to what some people might think, Batman cannot beat every single person in the DC universe, regardless of his prep time. Honestly, I literally only own 3 Batman figures out of my entire collection. So what does that tell you about my level of interest in Batman? The only reason why I bought this guy was, first off, he was $15 at Walmart. Can't pass that up. And 2, this guy is actually not Bruce Wayne. This is Commissioner Gordon. And Commissioner Gordon figures are few and far between. So when you can get one, especially one that is pretty much primed and ready for toy photography, you don't want to pass it up. I think the thing with Batman is that I like all the auxiliary characters to Batman, but not Batman himself. Don't get me wrong. Hey, listen, when I was a kid, I watched Batman the animated series. Okay? That was my favorite thing. Hands down, my favorite thing. But I think I like that show because I wasn't really exposed to any other superheroes other than like Spider-Man, maybe Superman, but a handful of others. As a child, I didn't realize that there was this whole expanded universe that didn't stop at just him. That there were this whole other spectrum of characters that are just as, if not more interesting than Batman. And I find that anytime I ask anybody, well, why do you like Batman? The thing is always the same. It's always, well, I like him because he doesn't have any powers. Hey, that's dumb. You like a character that's basically you. I don't read comic books to read about myself. I read comic books because of the fantastic stories that they can tell me, to have my imagination going and to take me to a world that's unlike mine. And I'm not going to argue with you as far as like Batman's popularity. Batman is literally the most popular comic book character in history next to Superman. But that being said, I honestly do believe that Batman is a part of a fad right now, just like Superman was a fad for many, many years. Just like The Flash is a fad right now. And you give it a couple years and there will be another hero that everybody will just gravitate towards. And for those of you who aren't familiar, this is the Bay Area's only toy reviewer. My name is Carl, and I'm back again with another video. So, now that I'm off my soapbox, let's get into the figure, shall we? Now, as I've said, this is Commissioner Gordon, not Bruce Wayne. As a figure, just standing here, it looks great. But let's get into the articulation. But before that, it comes with one accessory. It comes with this sort of like weird looking stun gun pistol, but this is the only accessory that it comes with, and it slides into the holster pretty good. It stays in there secure, but if you jostle them too much, yeah, see, it fits in there just fine. But if you jostle him too much, or it comes right out, and it can be easily lost, like I just lost it just now. Yeah, all that staining. But let's get into the articulation of this guy. Okay, so his arm goes around 360 on this side. Same as the other side. Got a bicep swivel that goes all the way around on both sides. Single joint elbow. Whoop, get my hands out of the way. Single joint elbow here. All right, he's got a wrist swivel. Same thing on the other side. Elbow joint. Right chair. He's got a wrist twist, wrist swivel. Right here. Let's see. He's got a his legs go out to about that far, which is pretty sweet for photography purposes, as far as like, you know, getting in those big kicks. His foot, or should I say his leg, goes out to about there, which is fine. Nothing back, because if you look at the buttocks here, there's a little flap right inside there that prevents it from going all the way back, which is okay. You know, it's Commissioner Gordon. It's not the real Batman. So, how can I put this? As far as, you know, like dynamic poses, as far as him like perching and things like that, you know, you're not going to get those kinds of poses. But, you know, the articulation, it is what it is. It's good enough for the character that it's supposed to portray, put it that way. All right, he's got a thigh twist here, which is fine, though it does break up the integrity of the leg a little bit. Same thing on the other side. Both sides go around 360, as you can clearly see. It goes back, got a single hinge on the knee. Both sides. And I believe we have a ankle hinge that goes up about that far. Goes back about that far, which is really nice. And no rocker. None whatsoever. But an interesting thing about the hips here. Now, it goes forward, and as I demonstrated, it does go out. But as you can see, if I can get inside here, there's a hinge there. And it's good for articulation. But when you do the kick, it has this cavernous gap here in between the legs, which is, I mean, it's fine as far as like looks wise. You know, you get him into certain poses, and I guess it looks okay. But okay, so here's the thing with me. All right, now for me, I classify figures into a bunch of different categories, but two main ones. One is functionality, and the second one is aesthetics. Now, does this guy look the way he's supposed to? Yes, but I more gravitate towards figures that are articulate. And even if they take a few liberties with how the character looks, just as long as it's an articulated toy, that works for me. Because I do the toy photography. I take pictures of the toys. Excuse me. So functionality is more important to me than aesthetics. Just as long as the general idea is there, then that works. But continuing on, one thing that is really, really interesting about this guy, as far as, and speaking of aesthetics, is just, I like this whole solid black. I really do like that. I mean, it looks clean. It doesn't, you know, it's not paint, put it that way. Like the figure's not painted, like the plastic is actually black. So there's no concerns about scraping or scratch paint or anything like that, because the whole thing is just black plastic. I can't really say that about the, well, no, yep, the head too. I think the only thing that is, hold on. Yeah, all right. Okay, so I was right. So the only thing that's really painted on is his face. His face is actually painted onto the black plastic here. And his eyes are actually the same thing. So it's white and his face are actually painted onto the black, which is fantastic, in my opinion, because you don't have to worry about the figure itself getting scraped up. So that works. If that works for you, I know it works for me. This belt is actually on a floating piece that's connected to some tabs here. And here, I don't really know how I feel about the belt yet. I know that, I was contemplating possibly taking it off, maybe clipping it off and just getting rid of it, because I really don't, I don't know. The gun looks, look at this. The gun doesn't look good with the rest of the figure because of the way it looks. It's so closely associated with Batman. I guess you could say that it could be like a grapple gun or whatever, but I mean, I don't buy it. Honestly, I didn't read the comic to why Commissioner Gordon is now Batman in this current incarnation of him. I don't know what's going on in the comics right now. I haven't read a comic in years, but that's the reason why. The reasoning for that is like an entirely different story that I will get into at another time. But he's currently Commissioner Gordon in this incarnation. I don't know what brought that about, but he is. I guess Batman got injured and he took on the mantle. I'm not really sure, but I'm sure that you guys probably know more than me about that. If so, let me know. But another thing about the articulation here, which I really, really like, is that they did a really good job as far as like hiding the pegs for the joints. You straighten out his arm. Damn, I'm saying a lot. You straighten out his arm, and it looks very seamless. So you don't really, as far as like the arms go, you don't really have to worry about any pegs or anything breaking up the sculpt, because it's seamless. What they did was they molded the plastic over the peg, which is really nice as far as aesthetics go. And they sort of did the same thing with the leg, but at the same, yeah, they did the same thing with the leg. Yeah, see, look at that. Can't even tell, which is great aesthetically. They did another thing too. Instead of putting in like a butterfly joint in the shoulder, so the shoulders would hinge out, what they did was they put a deeper cut into the back and the front. And the reason why they did that, well, so that way you could get a more dramatic and more dynamic pose as far as making the arm go across the chest. And I think that is a great addition to the figure, which is something that a lot of DC Universe figures can't say that they do, and I wish that they would do more of that with them. The head goes around 360, goes up about there. Yeah, it goes up about there and goes down about there, which is nothing. It does have a ab crunch or an abdominal hinge. Get you to about there. Get you back to about there. Final verdict. I'd say he's a buy. If you are a Batman fan, then you'll like him. Even if you are a casual Batman fan, you'll like him. I mean, I got him because he was cheap. He was right there. And on top of that, it's Commissioner Gordon. So that makes for great potential scenarios when you do toy photography. I'm not down on this guy. I really like this guy quite a bit, even though I'm not a Batman mark. But that's my recommendation. If you can get him on the cheap, then I would recommend that you do so. I wouldn't pay $25 for him, but I would pay $15, and that's what I paid for him, for a really, really good-looking figure. So if you can pick him up, I recommend it. So until next time, this is the Bay Area's only toy reviewer, Carl, and I'll see you next time.